the Legends of Iron. I'm Jon Anderson. Meet my co-hosts, Nick Best and Akim Willaim. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight, because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mints is the creator of Carnivore Pure Beef Protein Icing. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein. Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. I'm Jon Anderson. With me always my partner in crime, Nick Best and Akim Willaim. We have got a killer show for you today. We've actually got another couple, which it's always interesting to have a couple on board. And this couple is even a little more interesting because one of them is in strength. The other one is in physique. So we've got it's going to be a fun conversation. So please welcome Joe and Bree Sullivan to the show. What's up, guys? How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. Like, we were already shooting the shit a little bit before we started recording, talking about how we're all getting old and all that stuff. But I know you want to say something.
What?
Because Jon introduced you as into physique, and like I'm into the strength. And what's the disclaimer there?
I'm stronger than you.
Yeah.
I'm technically ranked like 10 ranks higher, regardless of gender, than him.
Because powerlifting, they had, like, she held all-time world records prior to branching off into bodybuilding, and her DOTS coefficient, which is like the body weight coefficient, which determines like how strong someone is based on like relative to their body weight and their gender and whatever. She is technically stronger than me, which is fine, but
well, the way when you do multiple things, I started off in strength as trauma, and then at wrestle, and now I'm a pro bodybuilder. You're really only what you are right now.
Yeah.
So that's why I gave you the physique introduction.
Yeah, it's been a little while since the platform.
That's it. Well, guys, I got to say, first off, it's great that we have you here because, holy shit, we had some challenges to get here. You guys got sick. I mean, this is like I want to say this is our 4th attempt at getting you guys on the show, and we're here.
I think so.
We're here, baby. We're here.
And we live in the same town.
I know.
Oh, wow.
I have to say, though, every time we rescheduled, I enjoyed it just a little bit because I talked before we started recording about how I used to watch Jon's like old YouTube videos and about training, like deep water, like doing things that other people are unwilling to do, to go to places that other people haven't achieved. And I love that shit. But then to be able to actually like talk to him through text a little bit. And the funniest thing for me was a little bit of showing your age, Jon, because every time we reschedule, you'd hit me with one of those fucking Bitmojis where you're like, thanks, bro. And it's like your little face, like, what's up? And I'm like, this is definitely what my mom does. So every single time that happened, I was like, this is fun for me.
Well, there's when you're 50, you're 50. Christ, there's parts of me that are 25, but there's parts of me that are 50, and no matter how hard I try to cover it up, it ain't getting. There's no. Yeah, I'll show my age in some way, shape, or form. It just can't help. You can't hide it to some extent. So, but the fact that you enjoyed it, that makes it all worth it, my brother.
Yep, exactly. Nothing wrong with it, man. Just the funny.
I'm going to take that. When someone compares me to their mom, that's going to be a new variation of a compliment. I love it.
Oh my God.
Guys, so let's dive right in. So clearly, you guys are both competitive. You guys are both great at what you do. And one of the things that I love about your combo, another dynamic duo here, is that you guys are both active, and you've learned to basically, because we all know what a preparation for, whether it be strength or physique or whatever it is, preparations for contests are not easy. And you guys have, many couples try and many couples fail to do it, together, and you guys are successful. So talk to us about some of your formulas.
what is it that you guys do to get through those troubled times because God knows you know what it's like when you're focused on something, a show, and it's real easy to get a little tunnel visioned or be a little bit of an asshole or a little bit of whatever you want to call it. So what's your guys' formula for getting through those sticky spots?
Oh, fuck.
That's a good start to the answer right there.
I don't know. Sometimes it's just like a day-by-day thing. And like, I think we communicate really well on what the other needs, and we both understand what it's like to be an elite athlete. So it's kind of easier to give the other person grace, you know, like lately Joe's been having a fucking hard time because he's tired with prep and things like that. So it's like, I think of what I would want done for me if I was in that situation, whether it's preparing food, preparing supplements, a pre-workout shake, shit like that. It's like trying to find a way to make that person's life easier. And if there's like an issue that goes past that, I feel like I'm more the person that needs to cool off a little bit before I like talk about an issue. Joe kind of wants to solve it right now. So he allows me to have a little bit of space when I need it. And like cool down, and we talk, and we like sit down and talk about it. Cause at the end of the day, we both realize like we are individuals, but we're on the same team. We're both working towards the same thing. We
100%.
Want the other to succeed. And sometimes that might require a little bit of sacrifice and taking some shit on the chin, because that's not the time for it right now, you know? So that's
a big thing. A lot of spouses don't realize that. It's going both ways.
Yeah.
Having watched you two train together more than a few times, you guys complement each other really well. You're both each other's biggest cheerleaders. You're both, but you two don't get offended when you give each other advice or pick out something on techniques. You just listen to the feedback and fix and do and execute. And it's fun to watch you guys train together. It really is.
And Bri, I love that. I love the way that you said that. Sometimes you just got to take it on the chin, meaning you're taking a shot, but you're doing it for the betterment of the team, as you said, which is that's really helpful because, a lot of times it's real easy to get a little butthurt, a little offended because, your other half did X, Y, Z. Well, your other half's under some strain, not intending to do that. It's just the situation. So that's a pretty profound statement right there. I think if other couples could recognize that in these sticky situations, they might have the ability to keep going like you guys are. So that's good shit. Really cool.
And I think a big component of that, and to touch on like what you said, Nick, because you've seen us train together, you've seen us have like the mini conversations where like a lot of other people would be like, "Hey, you're fucking up with this. You need to fix that." A lot of other people would be like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, and it's immediate, like people meet that with like a defensive attitude. But I think because Bri and I, at least most of the time, Bri and I like look at one another on like an equal playing field because we're both coaches. We're both elite athletes. We've both like done really great things in our respective, in similar fields in our respective fields. And we understand that what, like when the other person is like coming to us, coming to me, coming to her with like advice or feedback, no matter how like harsh or stern or blunt it is, it's done out of a good place and out of a place of love and like help for the other person. But even then, like her and like we're not perfect. Like we've had some like shit going on recently, like that I've had a hard time like getting over just because like Bri in prep, like it's funny because like it's not, I don't want to say it's like countered to like normal gender roles where like the guy is the angry one and the girl is like the calm one.
Joe, before you continue, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
Okay. And all I had to say was, I'm just letting you know, and it was over.
Yeah. Because
choose your words wisely, Joe.
No, I know. It's fucking. It's not a fucking tightrope as we prep. It's a tightrope for the rest of my fucking life. Because we'll hang up. What the fuck you mean by that? Huh? Like I don't know. But what like Bree, I know like Nick, I've known you for a while now, like just in not in passing, but just like as not associates, but just like knowing one another. But like I've been in therapy and like working on a lot of my own shit, because when I first watched your videos, John, like I was in a real dark place. Like I come from poverty, come from like hard shit. And I tried to commit suicide when I was 17 years old. Like there's a whole lot of shit behind it. So I've actively been in therapy, and I used to be the angry, reactive guy. Like I have a giant a scar on my forehead because I like headbutted a concrete pillar. Like I was that guy, like the anger guy. But I've gotten to a point where like I'm very, very good at like pulling myself back and like talking about my feelings, expressing like what I need and what's going on in me, and I can cool off really quickly. Bree is not, like sometimes, especially when like she's deep in a prep, she's underfed, she's on certain PEDs, like, and just stressed about everything. She reacts with anger sometimes, and like that's where it's like you have to like and it's still something that I work on, and it's like the point of all of this, it's active work. Like we can say like, oh yeah, take it on the chin, understand that like each situation is different, but every single time that happens, it takes tangible work and a recognition that like, hey, this is another time where you have to either take it on the chin or like just not feed into it and make it worse, but figure out how you can talk to your partner in a way that is going to recognize that they're doing it from a place of love or from like their own protection. Yeah. And you got to meet in the middle. And that's what like a partnership is, and like a relationship.
Brother, what you just said, that's something if couples could just give each other the benefit of the doubt, because they know they're in the same place. They know they love each other. They know they're both trying to move forward. But what you giving each other the benefit of the doubts can go such a long way. And what you're saying, I love that, because that makes it's so true. And it's a constant work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
You might think you solve one problem, it doesn't mean you're not going to have another one to solve tomorrow.
Right. Or if you solve one problem in that particular situation, who's to say that same problem or a similar problem may not come up in the future? Because it's like it's ingrained behavior in who I am. I want to talk about my issues. I like, if we have a problem, I'm like, what's going on? What can we address? How can we fix it? So like if Brianny is like, hey, I don't work like that in this certain context, it's like, okay, recognize, got it. But then there's a different situation where it happens, and my immediate it's learned behavior. My immediate reaction is like, problem, what's the solution? But then she's like, I already told you this. And it's like, oh, well, shit, like, I can't just bleed that over into every aspect of my life.
It's like, why not?
And that's the bit. That's the meeting in the middle. Because honestly, that's like shit we've been arguing about lately. Because she's like, well, it's like, it's not happening. I'm like, well, it's different. She's like, it's not different. And I'm like, but my brain,
the
different.
the same.
I know.
It's interesting.
It's making those connections is the fucking hard part.
Yeah,
and it's active work every time.
So
it's interesting because I've been through some of this too. Like, it's interesting because I've been through some of this too. Because
you saw him look to the side, right?
The coast is clear.
Yeah, I'm looking to the side. Yeah. No, she's not in the house. So,
he's got the alarm set, so and he'll hear it disarm when someone enters.
John, this is why I'm loving the bachelor life, man.
But that's the thing. I know that her attention span isn't held by stuff long enough. So if ever I'm on a podcast by myself, I'm like, okay, I can talk a little bit and be like, man, this shit stresses me the fuck out.
Yeah.
Well, because Joe's so fucking eloquent that he talks a lot, and like he'll make what should be 3 to 4 sentences 5 minutes long. So my eyes just
that's me.
Tell me what you need to say. We're done. I don't need to say anything more than that.
No, I just raised my hand, Joe. We're like cut from the same cloth, brother. You know, on the inside, I'm such a big puss. You give me a little poke to the heart. Next thing you know, I'm sitting down, I'm fucking talking, I'm writing shit out. I'm the same
way. That's why I love the deep water shit. I've always described myself as like, it's funny and it's so fucking stupid, but it's like sad boy, warrior, poet. Like, cause I'm going to the beach and I'm like, into the fire once again, like fucking cast upon the fucking struggle, man. And it's just like somebody else looks at it and is like, just lifting weight, shut the fuck up. But I'm like, it's not motherfucker, fuck you.
Oh, but you know, listen, when it comes down to it, however we need to paint the pictures in our own worlds to manage and get where we need to go, that's what it comes down to. We all see a little differently through our own set of goggles. And if your goggles tell you to paint this picture of what you just described, which I don't think I could repeat back, then fucking perfect. You know, that's what it's all about. But I understand, brother. I'm the same way. You know, it could be a simple yes or no answer, and I'm going to write a fucking book. You know?
Same. She fucking hates
I'm with Bree. Get to the point.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Get to the point. Yeah.
So get to the point. Where like he's talking about something, and then he'll like pause for 5 seconds. So I'm like, oh, he's done. And I like go back to doing shit on my phone or watching a video, and he starts again, and he does it again. And eventually, I look at him like, motherfucker, are you done?
Sometimes
you do that all the time.
Listen, this is what all comes down to, Joe. We're basically women. We're women trapped in men's bodies, is what it comes down to.
It's 2022, man. I wouldn't fucking doubt it.
I say that. I've been saying that for years, man. I'm an emotional motherfucker. Down deep, I'm a woman trapped in a man's body, and I'm proud of that. God damn it.
Yeah, you know? I get it, man. Because I'm the type of guy, like I'll watch a TV show that's like completely just bullshit, like Kitchen Nightmares or some shit, and then like at the end the chick like makes it, like she learns and she makes this beautiful dish, and Gordon Ramsay is like, oh, this is great, and she like cries, and I'm like, oh my god, man.
See, that's like that's like him all the time.
All right.
That's like
you got me there, brother. You got me there. So I'm not crying from a goddamn cooking show. I can promise you that.
It's special circumstance, but it has happened. It might be when the trend is a little too high, but I don't fucking know.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh Jesus. So since we're on this topic of problems and getting along, there has to be like the star on top of the Christmas tree battle that you guys have gone through that you can remember. What give us paint a little picture of what that's like. Do you guys beef it out long, or is it kind of like wake up tomorrow and everything's okay?
I am a wake up tomorrow and everything's okay. Joe likes to be sad sometimes. And like if I talk it over and we come to a solution, I'm like, okay, this is what I need, this is what I want. Cool, I'm done. I don't like to be sad for shit longer than I need to. Joe takes a little bit longer than I do, which is kind of where we butt heads, because I'm like, motherfucker, it's been 3 days. Like, you're not good?
Well, Joe, on that level, I was that way. What's our age difference? It's got to be quite a lot. Since you were 17 watching me making those videos, it's got to be close to 15, 20 years.
I'm 29.
Yeah, okay, so we're 21 years apart. So at your age, I was very similar. And what helped me to realize is I want to fucking be happy. And when I don't have to fucking make a bigger deal, and I don't have to feel poorly about a situation longer than I have to, because you strip it all away. We do what we do to be happy. And if you can kind of just I learned to just let shit roll off my back. I goes, okay, this is a motherfucker. This sucks. But guess what? In fucking 15 minutes, I'm going to fucking go about my way. I'm going to go about my life. I'm going to be fucking happy, and nobody can stop me.
Yeah,
that made a big fucking difference.
I don't think there's been like a huge like blowout between us ever. If the only time we ever argue is when it's like about communication or the lack of. Yeah. And it's like, you didn't clearly state your needs of what you needed, so I acted this way when you wanted me to act this way, or something like that. It's never been like a,
Yeah, and that's kind of what it is, because like it's never been like, oh, I did this thing, and then she's like, oh my God, I can't deal with this. It's always just been like, it's the classic like this is a functional relationship, but like when it functions, it's like two gears lined up. I know that this is a audio medium, so like people can't see what I'm doing with my hands, but it's
he's putting his fingers together, interlocking.
But it's like two gears lining up, and like rolling and like fitting fluidly together, and it works very, very well when it's lined up perfectly. But when it's off, even by a little bit, it clashes incredibly so. And that's like the stuff that Brie and I deal with because it when those clashes happen, it's like we say the same thing, and we like know what the other person wants. We know what the other person is feeling. Like, I know that if she looks at me and is like, fuck you, shut the fuck up, it's like she doesn't actually like want me, like she's not actually saying that and being like, fuck you, you're a piece of shit. But my emotional side of my brain, I'm like, oh fuck, now my feelings are hurt, this fucking sucks. And then whenever I'm like overbearing, because like a thing that I do is like when I want to help, I have a hard time like stop, because like I've been doing this shit for a long time, and I have like degrees, and I've seen like a lot of stuff, and it's like I want to give, I'm very active in coaching, and I want to give my input, and I feel as though that I can help, but sometimes like I need to, not sometimes, but I just need to not be the coach, and I need to just be the partner.
And I think that's something that's helped too, because like he's not running any of my coaching or anything anymore. It's by our friend. He's actually both our coaches, our best friend Jake Benson, and so like I talked to him the other day, and I was like, I need you, like, I want you as my partner and not my coach. I don't want to have you as an authority figure in my life. Like, I want to feel like we are equals. So in order to do
that's a tough one right there. That would be
exactly. And it's like, I know that he's very invested in my success, and he wants to see me succeed. But it's like, sometimes your role isn't with me; it's to the sidelines cheering for me, and that's like a huge transition to go through. And I know that's super hard, but I feel like it'll be better for our relationship in the long term. And I'll of course come to him with any questions and shit like that, but for the most part, like keeping it on a fairly superficial level.
How long have you guys been together?
So
coming up on 2 years now.
Is it over?
Tell us the story. How did you meet?
This is hilarious. We met at the canceled Arnold in 2020.
Shit.
Yeah,
Good.
I had ended up going to Columbus anyway because the guy that I was dating had a booth at the Arnold. So we were dating two completely different people at the time.
Wow.
This is in like March. And then we had like it was like totally platonic when we met. I'm telling them the story.
Okay.
So, where was that now?
So there's a different version.
Yeah, so anyway, it was totally platonic. We were hanging out. He had messaged me and asked me if I wanted to do like a lifting, like a spectator event there.
Because at that time, I was co-owner of Pinnacle Performance, which is a gym downtown Columbus, and I was sponsored by Live Large, and I still am sponsored by Live Large. We both are, but I was scheduled to lift in the animal cage.
Both of us were. Yeah.
Both of us were.
Yeah.
The COVID canceled the Arnold. So then, because I'm an opportunistic asshole, I call Live Large, Nick from Live Large, and I'm like, yo, like everybody's in town already, let's fucking do something at the gym. And he's like, hell yeah, okay, let's make it happen. So we come up with this event called Party at Pinnacle, and I just start fucking messaging everybody, and I'm like, yo, are you in town already? And they're like, yeah. You want to lift at the gym? Like, come at this times. And we set up like an actual schedule of events. And we had like over 4,000 people through the doors that whole weekend. It was a huge success. It was fucking awesome. But she was one of the people that I messaged because I knew nothing about her. I was just like, that's the strong deadlift chick. And I'm like, yo, do you want to come lift at the gym? And she came there. And it's like, we're, like she said, totally platonic or whatever. But obviously I'm like, I'm going to notice a fucking like diesel chick, and her lats are like this wide, her waist is this tiny, her ass is this wide. I'm just like, who the fuck is this? Because she comes up to me and she's like, hey, can you give me a lift off on bench? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I'm following her, and I'm like, well, this is fucking crazy. And then she goes to bench and hits like 264 for a double, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Who the fuck is this? And then we're just like, hey, like just knowing, like just bullshitting, because like I'm drinking all weekend because I'm fucking stressed out and organizing events and shit and like emceeing and all that. And it was totally platonic, but there was like a little bit of spark, like not flirty, but it was just kind of like our love language is like bullshitting and like kind of shit talking one another and just like joking around, because they had that mammoth deadlift bar, the Strength Shop mammoth deadlift bar, and people were pulling on it. And it was like right after, it was in the middle of the day or something. Like I didn't have anything going on. We were just doing events. And Bree like looked at me and was like, "Hey, do you want a deadlift here?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Do you want a deadlift here?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then we like start deadlifting and we're going.
Only if you're going to deadlift here, I'll deadlift here.
I don't know if you guys like censor like drug talk or anything, but like there is a component here. Okay, so because we're deadlifting and we're warming up, and then she looks at me and she's like, "Do you want a halo?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Do you want a halo?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "All right, I want a halo then." And like take fucking halo and then pull something stupid, and it was just fun.
Yeah.
And it's like we got to know one another a little bit then, and just like talked a little bit, but nothing like really like, "Hey, like I'm interested in you." Because then
like we had hired the same coach. And then this was like months down the line.
Yes,
This is like in September, and I wasn't with that guy anymore, and he wasn't with the girl that he was dating. And I had messaged him because I needed some squat advice. I was like, "He's a fucking squat guy. We're friends. I'll just ask him for advice. He's great at biomechanics." And so I sent him some videos, and we were just talking about training and shit like that. And then we just like never stopped talking. And then our first date was him taking me home for Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yep. My
Wow.
Say that one more time. The first date was what?
Thanksgiving.
me taking her to my family Thanksgiving because
Man, that was really bold.
bold.
Wow.
Yeah, that was bold,
Yeah.
man.
Stupid as fuck. But like,
I was trying to understand taking you home. I was trying to figure out like taking home to the family.
Yeah.
Taking home for some other type of activity. I was trying to figure
Oh, what a family, John. John, get your mind out of better, John.
John's always jumping in. Ready
That's
to
me,
go.
man. Listen, there was a crossroad. I was just waiting to find out which way they were going. You know,
but that
they could have been both. Maybe there was both.
Hey, I mean, yeah.
I got a question for you, Brito. When he invited you to his family, what did you think about that for Thanksgiving? What did you think about that?
I was like, fuck. Because like we were talking shit. And
it was more shit talking.
Yeah, it was more shit talking because I didn't really have anything to do for the holidays. Because like, my parents were close, but like we didn't have any other extended family. They all moved out of state, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. And we were like joking, and he's like, "You want to come home to Thanksgiving?" I was like, "You're lying," and he's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Oh fuck, he's not."
That's not what the conversation was.
No.
Because I was like, "Well, do you want to come home to Thanksgiving with me?" And you're like, "Are you kidding?" And I'm like, "Well, it depends on your answer if I'm kidding or not. If you say yes, then no, I'm serious. But if you say no, I'm
Then
like,
you're kidding.
yeah, you know,
That's a good one, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then she did.
I'm still trying to think. If someone said that to me, I'm trying to figure out: am I going to meet the parents, or are we going to get it on? That's
It was both.
Or both.
It was, bro, like no, because like it was when like the open the door a little bit, and I'm the guy that kicks it down because she made a like in DMing or like FaceTime, I was giving her like squat advice, and she like made a joke about her butt, and it's like where like the door's opening a little bit, and I'm like, no, that's it, and I'm like, boom, it's like it's happening.
Well, good. So you guys, 2 years you've been together.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously 2 years is a long time, especially when you guys are both active and competitive. It can put a normal relationship 2 years versus two competitors 2 years is a big difference. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been down the road of some of those competitive relationships that never lived to see the 2 year mark, you know?
Yeah. I think it's because who did I hear talking about this? I think I heard Flex Lewis talk about this on his podcast. It's like sometimes it's hard to have two competitors because you have like two alpha personalities and everyone wants to be that guy all the time. But it's recognizing like, okay, we're both the guy, but you have your time and I have my time. And we're respectful of that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. No, it's very true.
Yeah,
So-
we still go through that.
yeah.
We still go through that.
Believe me, that's still a work in progress.
Yeah.
Because like that, it's like I'm I'm like 8 days out now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's talk about some highlights of career. Let's talk about some career highlights that you guys.
Okay.
Which one? Ladies first.
Oh, Jesus. I hate talking about myself.
Too bad that you're just so you know, little secret, you're on the show so people could hear you talk about you.
I know. I never know what to say. God, how do I start this off? I started
off by saying, listen, number one, I'm a badass bitch. Number two, I'll leave that one to you.
I had been powerlifting since 2017, end of 2017, actually. I did my first competition ever in like December. Didn't total anything special, but then probably about a year and a half after that, I hit my first world record in the deadlift at the 165-pound weight class. I hit 558 for my first all-time world record. My next competition was later that year in November, and I competed at 165 again. Hit the world record again at 563. I was competing with another girl, and she kind of kicked my dick in the dirt. So then I came back the next year, and this is when I met Joe. I was like kind of in the middle of this prep. I did one of my last meets that I hit my all-time world record was a 585 deadlift at 165 pounds. And then
pause real quick, Bree. For all of you listeners out there who weigh substantially more than 165 and can't deadlift that, just keep working. Keep working. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time.
And then my most recent competition in powerlifting was actually the Showdown this past year, which is the same competition that Joe's doing this year. I competed in the 181 class, but I weighed in at 167, and I totaled 1366, hitting 480 squat, a 292 bench, and a 600-pound deadlift.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, I started transitioning over into bodybuilding because I was just kind of like, I'm burnt out. I've been competing a lot. I want to try something different. I had a friend my friend Hunter, who did the same thing, went into bodybuilding and did amazingly. So I was like, let me try my hand at this. And so I competed my first competition in June in Dallas, where I won overall in women's physique. And then most recently, I did USA's here in Vegas, and I got 4th overall. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. Not bad for a first season. It was cool. I just
you're badass in everything you do, man.
I just need to be less fat next time.
And again, going back to what I was saying, for those of you that are trying to have those numbers, it doesn't matter she's a girl. It's just remember that.
Exactly, right? Yeah, that's kind of the gist of my competitive career. 1 overall win, 3 all-time world records, and first call outs at my first national show.
Yep. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's something right there.
And how old are you?
I'm 26.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah. Youngster.
Yeah.
Youngster.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when are you planning on competing again?
I forget what the show is called. It's like one of the first national shows of the season next year. It's like Junior USA's or Junior something.
Junior Nationals?
Junior USA's.
Junior USA's, yeah. It's in May, so.
Yeah, Junior USA's.
Got a little bit of time trying to get my health back in order because it wasn't the best post-show, and put myself in a better position to actually be in a deficit, because I went like straight from a powerlifting meet to like binge eating to being like, okay, I want to get less fat, to instead of getting less fat, let's just do a bodybuilding show. So like whatever I do, I like put like all my effort into it, and sometimes I need to slow down a little bit, especially because like bodybuilding is by far way harder than powerlifting ever could imagine to be. Like,
let me tell you,
way harder.
Let me tell you.
You heard that, Nick?
I'm telling you.
I missed it. What was that?
I mean, I've been on both sides of the fence, and I got to tell you, when I got into the sport, I did my first show, won it, qualified to go on. I basically didn't have a clue what I was doing. My rebound was huge. I put on 30 pounds in about 4 or 5 days. Basically had to do a full fucking prep. So I did almost 2 full preps back to back without a month in between. By the time I got done with that second one, thank God I fucking won my pro card, I was done. I mean, it took me 2 months to stop falling asleep driving. I'd be driving down the freeway. I just have to fucking pull over and I couldn't keep my eyes open. It's brutal. And you think, I just need a couple good nights of sleep. Bull fucking shit.
No,
that shit takes, I mean, a month of just feeling like you're trying to get back to square is pretty good. I was probably more like 2 months. So if you don't know how to do this stuff, it's really helpful to have a guide that helps you not put yourself in such a nasty place, because it's brutal.
Post show is hard as fuck.
Brutal.
Like you went from being like this level of leanness that you've never been before, and slowly watching yourself just get fatter and fatter, and like the lines go away and the fucking veins aren't there, and you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Like, it's like I'm getting used to a new body again, which like I did good on like the not post show binging and stuff, but it's like getting in that mindset of like, okay, I am a strength athlete. I'm also a physique athlete, but like my body is serving a purpose at any given time, you know? So it's like, yeah, I'm a little fatter right now, but I'm strong as fuck now. And, you know, I'm leaner, but that's what I need to be because I'm competing in a, you know, physique show. So it's learning to, knowing when to turn it off and on, which is hard, especially your first time, but trying to get a handle on it.
That's something you're going to have a hard time with your whole career, because when it comes down to it, the shit that we do, it feels better going wide open. None of it feels good halfway.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
You're either, if you got the throttle pegged, you're okay. You try to find the middle. For me, I might as well just purposely crash, because I won't maintain that middle very long.
Yeah.
You know?
There's no cruise control in this.
No.
Yeah. All right, Joe. So does this, when you smacked your head on a cement pillar and busted it open, is this sometime during your competitive career, or was this like part of the lead up to it?
That was high school football. That was
okay. Gotcha.
That was
so we're more controlled aggression now, controlling the aggression.
Absolutely. That's and a lot of that it hasn't always been that way, because like I've been unlike Bree, like I'm even though I'm 29, I'm kind of like, I don't view myself as like an old dog, but like I am kind of viewed as an old dog in kind of the powerlifting sphere, because I've been competing since 2007. My first powerlifting competition was when I was 14 years old in high school.
There we go.
And I started super young, and truth be told, like I wasn't like as 100% in it as I am now. Like there would be like I powerlift for 6 months, and then I'd like get fucked up with my friends for 6 months and like play Xbox Live and bullshit like that, and then go back to it. But I was all state in football. I was all state in wrestling in high school. I went to
what state?
Michigan. Yeah.
Okay.
And
I was going to say, because be all state in California in wrestling would be off the charts, because California's so big.
Yeah,
but Michigan's a big state though too, you know.
Yeah, it's like Midwest and like the West Coast. That's like where you want. It's where you want to be all state if you're going to be all state. But and then I went to college for wrestling. I quit after my first year just because I wasn't enjoying it anymore. I got burnt out on it, and just for a lot of reasons. It was just too much. But I still enjoy my time. Like I think I credit wrestling for a lot of like the mental toughness and like the willingness to just do whatever it takes to get it done. Because I truly think wrestling is the greatest sport on the planet. But all that time I competed, and then after I quit wrestling, I was like, okay, well, what do I really want to go into? Because I don't want to stop doing stuff. Like I still want to compete and stuff. I still want to do it. And I'm like, okay, I know what powerlifting is. I haven't competed in like 2 years, but like I'll go do that. And I started doing that, and I just never really stopped since then. And my first like pro total was in 2015. I hit 1750 at 198 pounds, 198 pounds. And then just kept getting better and better, kept doing stuff. In 2017 was kind of like a breakout moment where I broke the junior all-time world record total, which is like the 20 to 23-year-old age group in the 220 class. I've hit the most and still hold that record. 2,121 pounds. I squatted 865 pounds, bench 507, deadlifted 749 at a meet there, and then just continued to train, and wasn't smart about it. like a lot of the time. Like there was a lot of reckless drug use, a lot of reckless training, like still being the overly aggressive, like fuck you, kill me, like go to the like way too into the dark shit to like try to do this stuff. And I've ruptured both bicep tendons, had them surgically repaired. I don't know if you guys have seen, I know Nick has, but if you guys have seen the viral video where a barbell bends on a guy's back and there's like a green background, that's me. The original YouTube video has like 15 million views. It's insane. But I herniated a disc in my neck, which compressed a nerve in my.
Real quick, back up. I haven't seen the video, so describe what the hell happens in this video for anybody. I'm not one of the 15 million, so fill me in.
Yeah, totally. But it's so I'm like my full-time job has been coaching since 2018, and at this point I was at a competition coaching. Two of my clients, one female, one male, and I was like, okay, I'm in prep for the U.S. Open. It was the year after I broke that all-time total record, and I'm in prep for that. So I'm like, I'm gonna go get my squats in real quick. I'm gonna just go to some bullshit gym, and it's some CrossFit box. And I asked these guys, I'm like, hey, are these barbells good? I'm gonna work up to 700 pounds for a triple today. Are we good on these? And he's like, yeah, like it's totally fine. It's gonna withstand it. Like we've had people hit that weight before, and he obviously didn't know what he was talking about because we may want to plug into you. But obviously didn't know what he was talking about because as I walk the weight out and hit the hole, the bar literally mechanically fails. Like it doesn't bend like a buffalo or a duffalo bar. It bends to like a sharp point, like just in the center. And it pins me under it. So I finish the rep and rack one side. But I can't get because it's jammed my arms down. I can't get out, so I kind of have to like punch my way out of it. But it ended up putting all of the 675 pounds of pressure on one part of my neck, which herniated a disc, which then compressed my dorsal scapular nerve, which caused like complete atrophy of my left tricep, my left lat, and my left pec. And I've only recently been able to like get that better. I'm back benching into the 500s after like 5 years of.
Quick question, brother. When this thing breaks, what was the idea behind putting it away? Could you not just dump it behind you? Were you stuck in there?
Oh, he's pinned.
He's pinned.
He's pinned.
Again?
No.
You were pinned.
John,
you couldn't just get away from it.
Yeah.
Putting it away was the only way out.
Yeah, because I have like a medium grip, like I'm not super wide, like Nick is, and I'm not super
totally
close.
In there.
Yeah, I was close enough where my arms literally got like pushed into my sides, and it was crazy. So you
couldn't dump it down your back.
Yeah, did it happen quickly, or did it just go boom, or was it slowly happening?
It started slowly, like bending as he was coming up out of the hole.
I'll send you the video terrible. If you guys want to like plug it into the podcast. It's crazy, and there's a reason there's so many views behind it because at one point I'm ascending and the weight is going down, like it. So it felt like I've never had a grind like that because since then I've hit the all-time world record open for the squats in my weight class, which I worked through and did like even in spite of the injuries. But even those reps haven't felt like that type of a grind because that literally felt like I was dying. It was incomprehensible, like how insane it felt to be going up, but the weight continuing to press down into me. So. That was a speed bump, and there's just been a variety of injuries and stuff. But in spite of that, in 2020, I broke the all-time world record squat in the open category, so the most ever done by anybody ever in the 220 weight class with 822 pounds. And then that was 2020. The year after, I broke that record with 838 pounds. And this upcoming year, I'm ideally going to do it again and break it by another margin to
baby. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, because that's what I'm doing in like 8 days. So
I fucking love it, brother. Coming from that squad story into, continuing to break your own record. That's because, this whole show is about trying to inspire people to become the best version of themselves. Fuck that right there. That's powerful shit, brother.
Yep. And that's why I actually have an additional phone, because I'm not much of a, I'm a writer, but it's very hard for me to be organized. That's why I'm jealous of the setup you guys have with Ben, like being the social media manager. I'm like working at that point. But I have a meeting with a ghostwriter tomorrow because I'm actually working on an ebook just talking about the whole thing. Because for however many times I've felt hopeless and I've felt defeated. Every single time I've felt that, as long as I've kept going, it's proven to be false. And there's power to that, because if I looked in the mirror and my left arm and my left pec and my left lat, they weren't there. Like, that was a huge mind fuck. Like, it literally, I've had photos where it's like they're gone entirely. And because I've been able, I continued to work, continued to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on different rehabs, talking to different people, learning why it's happening, what I can do to alleviate it. I really genuinely believe barring disaster, there's no such thing as a true career-ending injury. There's just career-adjusting injuries. And as long as you're willing to adapt and modify and address what you can do and then what you can't do and then just go forward, you're only done when you say you're done.
But I love this story because
100%.
what it really demonstrates is sometimes the worst thing that ever happens to a person really turns out to be their blessing. And sometimes it's hard for people to see that when they're going through it in their own lives, but they can look at somebody like yourself or somebody else that has that, because it's usually a fairly long time frame, obviously from the start to finish. But that whole thing has set you into this, this motion of being a squat badass. And if you hadn't had the challenges, you probably, that was part of who you are. That's part of what helped you become who you are. That's part of what allowed you to keep breaking your own records. So, brother, I love it. That's a great story.
Yep, thank you. And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited, because this year, with the help of my buddy Jake, who's the smartest dude I know, we've actually been able to get the neural pathways, the nerves that have been fucked up. We've essentially been able to reroute them using super unconventional methods. I was doing stuff that was normally PT and prehab, rehab type things, literally designated for people with phantom limb syndrome, or people that were actually paralyzed, dealing we did a lot of that style training. And now, last year, like Bree was saying, I was bitching about I missed my last heavy bench just due to emotional stress and shit. But even still, the fact that I can walk into the gym and still bench 530 pounds when not even just last year, my best bench at the competition was 419, and it was cockeyed as fuck. So to be able to do that, even though it's frustrating in the moment that I didn't do as well as I want to, it's still a blessing, because talk to me a year ago and I'd laugh in your face saying oh yeah, you'll be able to do this.
That's totally awesome, brother. I think you should definitely pursue making a book out of this, because that's a serious comeback story right there. Going from, I've never even heard of a situation where a bar bent around something like that.
Yeah,
I can't wait to please send me the link to that video. I want to check it out.
I've seen it a couple times, but it's not very common.
Yeah.
It's not common at all.
Makes you think twice when you walk out of bar and it thinks there's bouncing around like a plane flapping its wings. They go, shit, is it going to wrap itself around my neck here?
Dude, seriously, it's funny. It's funny, but it's not, because I swear I have certain levels of PTSD about that shit.
I can only imagine.
I refuse to squat at if we're traveling. And even if I had I got to get my squat workout in, I'm nope, doing fucking hack squats, doing some machine, fuck that. Or I'll go into bench and I'll be fuck, is my arm not going to work today? Just because there was never any pain associated with it. It just wouldn't go. And I'm just fuck, is today the day? I I drop a water bottle because I'm not paying attention. I'm like, holy fuck, is my hand dead?
Yeah. Well, the nerve, man, it's like a light switch. It's like somebody turns the switch and it just stops working. You know?
Yep, that's exactly what it was. It was crazy.
So how did you get it to turn back on?
Yeah,
Dude,
I want to know that too.
It was such an extensive process, but basically like, so we took this training method that was normally used by like sprinters, Olympic sprinters, called glycolytic style training, which is where we would literally intentionally deplete all of my liver glycogen, my muscle glycogen, and my blood sugar, so that I can't rely on any like carbohydrate focused energy to push through anything. So the only thing that I would be able to rely on is the neurological aspect, that first energy system. So I'd go to the gym we've done this since October. So it was this whole like piecewise process. And I would literally go to the gym and do like assault bike sprints for 3 minutes, like 6 rounds of 3-minute sprints, which is horrible. Like I was getting my ass kicked every day. Like do that and then go into like like a stable environment press, so like a Arsenal plate loaded machine or something, and do like 5 to 10 sets of 30 to 60 seconds constant work, like no breaks, to completely deplete the energy system, and then do some stuff like mirror therapy, where I'd literally like do upright rows, but with the weight in my right hand and nothing in my left hand, but looking at myself in the mirror to trick my brain that my left arm is doing this, and literally like try to cue the musculature to like trick the neurology into being like, this is the muscle engaging, this is the muscle engaging. And then go into like, as I progress through the workout, do more unstable environment stuff, like working up to doing like push-ups on kettlebell handles, or like kettlebell bottoms up presses, to like basically relearn how to press through that range of motion. Because I'm not, it's the whole concept of neuroplasticity is insane, because you can literally like reteach yourself how to move. So the nerve, I haven't gotten a recent MRI, but if it's still how it is, the nerve is never not going to be damaged. But by doing this style of training, you can literally reroute the neural pathway and get it working back to more normal by utilizing different movements and different muscles. So, and that's honestly, that's one of the reasons, or one of the appeals to me to do like a bodybuilding prep at some point, because I know that if I got lean enough, like, because you can see it, I'm not super fat, but I'm like not very lean, but you can visually see the discrepancies in my musculature. So if I were to get lean, I'd honestly just be curious. I'd be a terrible bodybuilder, because there'd be no.
But you'd see, but you would see what you're talking about. You'd actually have a look at what's going on in there. That's
because like this rear delt is like gigantic, and the rhomboid like doesn't exist whatsoever. And on this side, the rhomboid is much larger, and the rear delt is like non-existent. And it's just it's due to that neurological effect of like, oh, this is the muscle that I'm actually using to extend the shoulder and extend the elbow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some crazy shit, brother.
They're super extensive. Like it was a complete, like, honestly, it was a complete like life overhaul. Cause one of the reasons that like I touched on the whole, like trying to commit suicide and whatnot, like I had a early diagnosis of like severe ADHD and depression. And like I'd self-medicate with like Adderall, and I eventually self-medicated with cocaine and just like bad drug use and shit. But that was actually like playing into how bad the symptoms were getting, because my whole dopaminergic like system and the interactions between like my brain and the musculature was all kinds of fucked up. So I literally had to take, like, it wasn't like taking 2 steps back to take like 3 steps forward. It was taking like 500 steps back in order to get to where I am now.
Wow. That's crazy. That's you've overcome some serious stuff there. Well, one of the questions I usually ask people is talk about a story where you overcome something pretty massive. Well, you took care of that question, brother.
It's been a road, man. Like life's a trip. So
Wow. Very, very cool, brother. Thank you for sharing that. That's quite a journey. So you guys, so this question is for you individual and then for you guys as a couple. There's plenty of couples, as we talked about, that try to kind of do what you do and to stay together, which is a son of a bitch. So what would you say? What piece of advice would you give to other couples that are kind of in your, the kind of the same path that you guys are in? They're both competing, both, dealing with the stress. What would be the piece of advice as a couple you would give to those that are coming up behind you?
Go ahead.
You go first, ladies first. No, it's about ladies first.
I mean, it's just like the shit that I said in the beginning of the podcast, like put yourself in the other person's shoes, take a minute to think about what you're going to say before you're going to say it, and recognize that like that person needs grace. You guys are on the same team. And like sometimes you have to take it on the chin, and sometimes you might have to sacrifice your feelings at certain times. But you need to come up with a good communication system in order to address those when the time is right.
Yeah. Very cool. Joe, your turn now, brother.
Yeah, basically, like I agree with what Bree said, and it's just like moreover, understand that you're both individuals, and no one inherently wants to argue, or no one inherently wants to break up. If you're a couple and you or your partner are literally at the point where it's like, fuck, we want to break up, then it's done. But if you're actually like in a relationship where you both want to be with one another and you're both pursuing these goals both together and as individuals, no matter how upset you get, no matter how frustrated you get with the other person, no matter how hurt you are because of the other person, there's a lot of value. And this is advice to myself too, because we touched on how I'm the emotional guy. There's a lot of value to taking a step back and just like identifying that like, hey, this person is not my enemy. They're not doing this to like fuck me over or to like hurt me. I may be hurt, or I may feel neglected or not like considered, but it's not done because they want to do that. It's just done. It's happening because I either haven't expressed my needs as clear as I need to, or I haven't expressed my needs or made it clear to the other person for them to receive it.
And if you're not equipped, like if both of you aren't equipped to handle those situations, like this is something that we've done recently to help our communication, is going to couples therapy. Because like we both have an end goal with this relationship. We both want to be together for a long time. And like sometimes we butt heads too much. So it's nice to have like, there's no shame in having like an unbiased third party to help you work through shit.
Agreed.
Yeah. And that's another part. It's not just looking at like couples counseling or couples therapy as like an option, but it's like, it's not a bad thing. And it's
like maintenance.
Yeah. Neither is individual therapy or individual counseling, because like we touched on it earlier in the conversation, like I'm very good at expressing my feelings. I'm very good at like identifying what I'm feeling, and I'm very good at talking because I've taken part in so much counseling and so much therapy. It's like I have to have got to this point, because if I didn't, I probably would have killed myself or ended up going the route of like much more illicit drug use, and I wouldn't be in powerlifting. I'd be doing something completely different. But there's no shame in identifying that like, hey, I struggle with expressing my needs or like receiving the needs of my partner. It's not a flaw. It's not anything wrong with me. And when I talk to my partner's not coming at me or attacking me because of that. It's literally just because that's what they need as an individual. And if that means you have to go to counseling or therapy or something to help you get to a position to give them what they need, there's no shame in that, because all it's going to do is make you a better person for your partner, and it's going to make you a better person for yourself, because the amount of like, I believe the reason I'm as successful in coaching as I am, or like interpersonal relationships, or just building networks as I am, is because of the therapy and the counseling that I've done, because I understand what it means to talk to people and meet them on their level. And I'm not perfect at it at all, but I've just done it so much. It's like it comes second nature to me.
Well said.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Yeah, that was a hell of an answer, brother. Shit.
He's very eloquent, and like he talks so fucking much sometimes that when we're having like a discussion, I'm like, can you rewind it like 3 points before that? Because you're saying so much shit, I forgot the first thing that you said.
It's so. This is the thing about our relationship too. It's like we start arguments and we're not even arguing. Like I'm literally just talking, and I'm like, well, what about this? What about that? And I'm like, oh yeah, like that's crazy. And then you could do this, and then this might happen, but then that might happen, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, shut the fuck up. And then I'm like, why are you mad? And then it's like, ugh.
Yeah, it just snowballs.
Oh,
it's exhausting.
Very good. So now individually, what would you, Bree, because you can kind of say for two sides of the fence, you know, for strength and for physique. What advice would you give to the young ladies that are coming up behind you that are trying to do the things that you've done?
Oh God.
What piece of advice would you give?
Geez, that's a fucking loaded question because I feel like I've done all this shit through like self-hatred.
Hey, it's still advice. It's still advice.
Hey,
because you turned out amazing. And you accomplished a lot, so it's still advice.
Your formula is your formula, just like exactly. Doc said. It's whatever your methodology is, it fucking worked. So share it.
I think believing in yourself is huge for me because like this has helped with coaching too, because if I don't believe myself, how am I going to get somebody else there? So like, if I can't get myself to a place where I have accomplished all these things, how am I going to like inspire or make somebody else do the same thing? God, just the biggest thing is consistency. Like,
yeah, you will never
fail yourself if you just keep showing up every day. It's hard to be like a woman in the weight room in like male dominated sports. And so I would say learn as much as you can on your own. Don't just take advice from anybody. Know what the fuck you're talking about and carry yourself with confidence.
I like it.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
That's good shit. Yeah. Hell yeah. That's really good shit. Yeah. Joe, something tells me that your answer is going to be a little bit longer.
Yes.
I will try not.
I'm terrible on the spot. Joe is fucking great on the spot.
I don't know. But what I would say to build off of what Bree said, it is about consistency and it is about believing in yourself and it is about just showing up, because if with all the stuff that I've been through and all the things that I've overcome and all of that, if I only went to the gym or only trained or only showed up to the meets when I was motivated to do so, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am, because there's a level of discipline and trust in yourself to have that belief and to continue on, no matter how hopeless or desperate or whatever you might feel, because no one's motivated to wipe their ass. No one's motivated to brush their teeth. No one's motivated to put gas in their car, but it's a prerequisite to function as a person. And if your desire is at the core of you and it's part of what makes you to be a better powerlifter, be a bodybuilder, be the best guy in the gym that you can, not even a competitor, then that is something that you have to treat with just as much importance and responsibility as brushing your teeth or wiping your ass or saying I love you to your mom or anything like that. And finally, if I, after all the stuff that I've done and the injuries that I've sustained and the amount of times that I was hopeless and desperate and thought that I was at the end of my road, if I can continue to get better and I can find a way to continue forward, the end does not exist for the vast majority of people. There's always an opportunity to get better. There's always an opportunity to improve. If you approach your life as a student and as a student of the game, student of biomechanics, science, whatever, there's always opportunity to learn, and there's always opportunity to get better, no matter the point at which you're at, whether you're an elite athlete or this is the first time you've listened to any strength-oriented podcast and you just stumbled upon it somehow.
I think a really important thing too is to like surround yourself with a group of winners. Like you always want to surround yourself by people that are better than you. You know, like I could go fucking train at LVAC, which is like the Globo gym down here, but I choose to train at Dragon's Lair because I'm literally one of the smallest fish in that pond. So surround yourself with good people, have a good head on your shoulders, be able to take criticism, and continue forever learning, because if you knew everything, this wouldn't be fun.
It's interesting you said that. They just did this study about like people that actually become millionaires or want to become a millionaire. And they said that the best thing you could do is surround yourself with other millionaires, and that actually would help you accomplish your dream.
That's neuroplasticity too. I read that study.
Yeah.
You adjust your behavior and your way of thinking to complement the individuals that are around you.
Yeah, for sure. That's beautiful. Well, I got one more question for you guys. Had you on. Thank you for your time. I had you on here for over an hour. So this is kind of like the question that we wrap the show up with. So remember the old movie Back to the Future? Well, Legends of Iron, we've got our own DeLorean. So you can climb in this son of a bitch and you can program the dashboard to a date and a time, and you can only go back in your own life, and you can give your young self, well, you're both young, your younger self, one piece of advice.
Invest in Bitcoin.
What is that? What is that piece of advice? And how old are you? How old are you? How old is the young version of yourself? And what are you going to tell yourself?
I would probably go back to the 12-year-old girl who was crying in a fitting room at a store because my legs were too fucking big for everything that I tried on. And I thought I was fat, and I thought I wasn't ever going to be anything, and I had such bad body image issues, and I wish I would have told myself to get into strength sports sooner and surround myself with more athletes. Because I think, like, obviously I made it very far then, but I feel like my teenage years would have been a lot better and a lot more productive if I would have, like, had more confidence and didn't try to fit myself in such a small box with all the other girls that were half my size.
Trying to fit into society's box. That's we all get out. We all get outside of society's box to do what we do. It just takes us a while to realize it's okay to do it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I've always been like a bigger chick. You know, like I've always had muscle, so it's like I wish I would have leaned into that a little bit further.
Yeah,
I think.
Nice, right on it, Joe.
Part of me doesn't know that I would get in the DeLorean.
You know what? You're the one who picked it out. There's a handful of people that have said that. You're probably maybe the second. Maybe the second.
Yeah. Like so it's hard because like a big part of me, like I don't think that I would get into it because like everything that I've done and all the struggles and all the shit I've overcome, like that's the only reason that I am who I am. So I don't know that I would want to change that. But like if I could talk to the kid who's holding his dad's M1 911 and gonna pull the trigger to his chin, if I could just like say to him, it gets better, you get better, keep going, that's what I would do. That's all I think that I would need.
Very good. That's profound shit, brother. Profound
shit.
Amazing. I love it. Well, you guys have been an absolute pleasure to talk to. Great, lots of pearls of advice, but very entertaining at the same time, and very, very motivating. You know, and that's what the show's all about, man. We just want to bring people like you guys on here so you can tell your stories and help the listeners, and I guess people that watch as well, because there are some visual aids here, help them understand that they can be whoever they want to be. It's just a matter of, you know, finding within whatever it is to motivate yourself to be the best version of yourself. So I want to thank you guys both. This has been great. Before we wrap this up, Ak and Nick, you got anything for this dynamic duo here?
No, man, it's been a pleasure, hearing both of you guys' story, and I think you guys are an awesome couple.
Yes.
Like you have found a way to work together and figure it out, and you see yourself as a unit versus some couples see themselves as competing against each other, and I think that's very strong. And just wish you guys nothing but success in the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
And congrats on Tampa, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess I'll see you.
No, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, it's great seeing you guys, and thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
And
We're gonna try to get down there and train with you guys sometime.
And by the way,
we'll make it over either together at your place or somewhere at some point. I'm looking forward to actually doing some different shit once I'm out of prep.
Dude, just hit me up. Come out.
Yeah,
Sounds
absolutely.
Love a ball.
I'm actually laughing at the fact that you guys met at the 2020 Arnold, because I competed in that 2020 Arnold.
Oh, you did?
I competed in that show, and I still remember that they canceled the expo and everything like that, and we got there on prejudging, and literally we were on stage with nobody in the audience, and it was the strangest shit ever.
Yeah,
that's so
hilarious. So that when you said 2020 Arnold, I'm still getting flashback from that, because I never experienced anything like that before. We're standing on the stage, and it's just a judging panel, and that's it. So it was hilarious. Yeah.
That's so wild. That's so weird, dude.
That whole thing was
that whole year was so fucked.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, everyone. We've got these two right here have shared some amazing stories and clearly have shown you guys that if you really want it, you just got to make the choice and go fucking get it. There's another episode of Legends of Iron. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mix.
Damn, man. Can't even enjoy my workout, man. Yo, hey, bro, what's wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you, bro? What's on your hold on, man? No, you need beef, bro. You need beef, man. Why? Go, what do you mean, why? What's wrong with you? Come on, yo, you're not wearing protein gonna have you go into the bathroom, man. You're gonna mess up your stomach, man. This is lacto free, man. Come on, champ. Beef build muscle, bro. Drink it out, man. You're gonna mess up yourself, man.
I'm gonna try this. I'm trusting you.
Take that, man.
Thank you.
Messing up my workout. Beef it up with carnivore, beef protein, isolate, 23 grams of protein, 0 fat, 0 sugar, 0 lactose. What you waiting for? Beef it up.